Project Evolve 360 back in action today. We are going to be talking a little bit about the squat today. So it's February, we're doing Squat for Cancer. If you haven't signed up, might be too late. You can still sign up, you can still donate, still buy a t-shirt. You just might not be able to get enough points to win, but that's not the point. Today, we're talking about one of the basic ideas of squatting, and I'm taking some of Kelly Starrett's principles of we need to get organized before we put a load on anything. So what that means is you have to be completely organized. Your whole system has to be exactly how you want it before you put the load on it. Because if you take an unorganized system and you load it, all of those errors that are associated with that unorganized system are just going to amplify or magnify. So we need to get organized before we get under load. And there's a ton of different ways you can organize in the squat, but we're going to talk about one today. And the one we're going to actually talk about is we're going to start all the way down at the feet. So let's take the phone to the floor, and we're going to talk about getting feet stabilized in order to squat correctly. So before we actually go down to the floor, I want to take some basic principles. So what you're going to notice is that most people, when they have their feet flat, they actually, when they're flat, they're kind of rotated in, what we call pronated, right? So whenever we pronate, we actually cause a valgus moment that causes the rest of our system to go valgus. So valgus means the distal end goes away. So when my feet collapse, that causes my tibias to go valgus, and then my tibias to go valgus, and that causes my knees to sink in. And that's really not what we want when we squat. We really want a system in which we have our knee tracking in the same plane of motion. You know, people talk knees out, knees in. It's really knees straight ahead. Knees out is usually a cue to cue your knees out as they start to collapse in. But if we organize our feet first, we actually set ourselves up in a better position to squat with our knees straight ahead the whole time. So let's go down to the floor, we'll check out the feet, and we're going to check how that starts to affect our knees. So let's take the phone down to the floor. So if I just start with my feet sunk in, so this is just normal natural feet sunk in, right? You can see how what I've done is I've collapsed everything into this midline. So this is feet straight ahead. I have really flat feet anyway, so we collapse them in. Notice how my tibias are already kind of a little bit in. When we bring the phone out, we'll be able to see what happens with my knees. But I just want you to really focus on the feet and see how they are. Now, if you kind of screw your feet into the floor, try to push the floor apart with your feet. So if I make a stable system and I screw it in, notice the difference? So look at my feet. Now my tibias are nice and in line. They almost look a little varus, but they're not. Once we get straightened out, we can see it. So here's feet collapsed. Here's creating torque, screwing my feet into the ground. So let's take this back a little bit and see what's happening. So we'll bring this back. I'll see if we can't walk this back. Okay. So you see feet flat. Now look, if I start to squat right here with my feet down, boom, right? My knees are already collapsing. Even just standing here, my feet are collapsed, my tibias are collapsed, and I have this valgus moment going on. That's not what we want. So now when I create torque in a stable platform, see how my feet now have this nice arch in them, and everything's straight ahead. So then when I go to squat, everything's right in line with my knees. So if I put flat feet and I squat, everything goes ahead. Now if I get organized from the bottom, screw my feet into the ground, and I start to spread the floor with my feet, we have a nice stable platform, boom, I can squat down. See how everything's nice and in line? Good, feet straight ahead, knees over my toes, good squat position. Evolve 360 out, see you guys tomorrow.